Welcome to the podcast. We do recover with Jared Miller, your host.
And I'm Dr. Terry Sellers, your co-host.
This is a podcast about recovery from addiction.
We want to talk about what successful recovery can look like.
Brought to you by High Desert Counseling, Rise Up Supplements, and the St. George Hilton Garden Inn.
Listeners, welcome to episode 109. Welcome. Today, we're going to talk a little bit about family. We're going to talk some recovery. We're going to talk some music. We got a super special guest, Chaz Smith, a.k.a. Colicchie. I also have it. How are you doing, Chaz?
I am doing absolutely fantastic.
Good, man. Hey, thank you for patience while we're setting this up. Thank you for being available at this time. Namaste, bro. Appreciate it. A lot of gratitude.
Of course.
We also have in the studio the doc, Terry Sellers.
What's up?
How was golf, buddy?
Golf? I played so poorly, I can't stand it. But that's all right. It was golf. I had a good time.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I lost about $40, but don't tell my wife.
Ooh.
I know, I got killed.
Melody ain't listening.
I know, I got
She's probably
killed.
listening.
The good news is he paid for the golf, so I actually broke even. It was fine. How about you?
I'm good, man. I'm great.
Yeah.
I've been looking forward to this. If you can't tell, I'm a little anxious, but we're rock and rolling.
You?
I'm excited.
Anxious?
Baby. I've had a lot of change. I started a new job, changed up our sponsorships, a lot of newness.
Let me
good,
tell you
though.
about that. We have a new sponsor for episode 109. This is the first time I believe we've had this sponsor. Our new sponsor is High Desert Counseling. High Desert Counseling is a progressive substance abuse treatment facility with a practical approach. They offer day treatment, morning and evening IOP, continuity of care, and Prime for Life programs. If you want to check them out, check their website out at highdesert.help, or you can call them at 435-673-2899. And if you didn't hear that, I'm going to do it again. 435-673-2899. They have facilities located in both St. George, Utah and Cedar City, Utah. I know the owner, Mike Keenan, one of the great guys in recovery, like seriously one of the really good guys. And give them a shot if you're having anyone that you know that's having substance abuse issues. High Desert Counseling is a great place. They take a slightly different approach than most places, for sure.
Absolutely.
So
they really push to get their clients connected with independent therapists, independent medical, independent housing, so you're not dependent on treatment. Once you graduate, you still have those foundations in your life moving forward, which I think's genius.
Super cool.
Super cool.
Yeah, we always like. In fact, on my way down here for this episode, I came down with a friend of mine who's in the treatment industry as well, and we were talking about new and innovative ways to do things because the treatment industry has been so stagnant for so long. And frankly, the outcomes aren't very good, right? I mean, we just don't. Nobody can say if someone tells you they have 80% success rates, you better turn and run because they're lying to you. That's not true. Success rates are fairly low, and so anybody willing to try something different, I think, is cool and fun. So
yeah, I love it. Thank you.
Yeah,
High Desert Counseling.
High Desert Counseling, brand new sponsor, and we appreciate them.
Episode 109, part 1 is also brought to us by Rise Up Subs. Rise Up Subs is a nootropic line aimed at optimizing brain function and supporting mental health. They have 2 powerful nootropic blends. The first one's going to be Mindful Mood. Helps decrease anxiety and enhance mood. It's your chill out, feel good. The next one is going to be Mind Shift. It helps increase focus and optimize brain function. If you want to check out a nootropic blend, go to riseupsubs.com. That's RISEUPS.com. Pick your blend at checkout. Punch in podcast 20 to save yourself 20% off today. We appreciate their sponsorship.
I have a question. Have you tried these supplements?
Yeah.
Are they good enough to make you get everyone's names right?
They are.
Okay,
yes.
good.
I'm on
Sweet.
2 Mind Shift as we speak, and so far I feel like I'm doing okay.
All right. I like it. Sweet.
Yeah.
All right. Let's kick this thing off because we got a special guest.
We do. Special guest. Joining us all the way from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, Chaz Smith, a.k.a. Colicchie. What's going on, buddy?
Nothing much. Just a pleasure to be here, and I appreciate it.
Absolutely. So listen, a lot of people know you through your music. I love podcasts because we get to know people on a personal level and the story behind the music. Let's just start off with some general, will you share a little bit about your life today? Like, what do you got going on? What's new? What's going on with you?
So a lot, I have a tendency to be, tremendously busy. But life is amazing. I have more today than I ever believed that, that I was ever gonna, attain in my life. And, like I said, I'm from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I have roughly 7.5 years clean. I'm a
Congratulations.
father. I'm an artist. And I don't know. I just every day I wake up, I really do try and just be a better person than I was yesterday. And I know that sounds like cliche, but it really is, because I've had so many relapses, in my past, that today I'm just very cautious of everything that I do. And I don't know. I have a lot of goals that I want to achieve, and I always try to, like, you know, look towards the future, like in a healthy manner. Because life is precious. It really is, but it is, it's a true blessing to, really just practically come from nothing and then to have so much on my plate today. It's more than honestly than I deserve, and I'm beyond grateful for that.
Man, well said. I'm pretty sure we all can relate to that, right, Doc?
I don't know if that's true, though. It might not be more than he deserves, but you got a lot, it sounds like, which is really cool.
Let's talk about that. I saw a little post, a little engagement action happening in September. Let's hear about Hannah, man.
Yeah, it is something that I and her never thought would happen. Uh, I always thought that I would be single the rest of my life, not even for the sheer fact of like a self-pity like type of party thing. It's just that I I don't know if I'm just very picky, or if whenever I had my daughter, my expectations for a partner went through the roof. Before that, it was just like I would settle for anything, whether it was toxic or not. I didn't really care about much. And this was even in recovery, but once I had my daughter, it was just more along the lines of, I wasn't looking for, like, just really a partner for me, but I was also looking for someone that was going to be potentially someday, a great stepmother. And she just crossed every single box off that came up. And it is, it was so unexpected. And when I write posts and stuff like that, and how I talk about this relationship is truly God given, I mean that. Like I said, it came out of left field. Like, neither one of us were looking for a relationship. Both of us felt the exact same way. Like, she thought that she was going to be single forever. She had her own, past relationships, that didn't work out and all that. But, it's just, I didn't force it when it happened. We just let it go. We just let it happen. Like, and it was very slow, like even in the beginning. And we just talked, and, I can honestly say that I never felt like this, thus, hence why I'm getting engaged. And, it truly is a beautiful thing it's another thing in my life. It's another, like, I don't want to say obstacle, but like another milestone in my life that, I would see happen for every other person around me except myself. And I'm like, I'm happy for them, but that will never happen for me.
Mm.
So, once that it did, it was very, important that I, grip this, priceless gift with both hands and didn't let go.
I'm happy for both of you and Hannah. But listen, buddy, let's just get down to brass tacks. You just lost 75% of your listeners. You know how many females reached out and said, "Hey, let me get this cell phone number. How do I get in contact with Colicchie?" I'm just teasing.
We got hundreds of females wanting your phone number, so it's all right. If don't worry if your phone rings off the hook. We just gave it out to everybody that called, so it's good.
Good for you, Hannah. Though you locked him down.
So how did you guys meet? Did you say that? Did you mention how you met?
I didn't. So I actually knew of her through social media. She's actually in the rooms, but like not in my area, like 40 minutes away.
Okay.
So I knew of her. I'd never even seen her in real life. And I actually had my daughter at the trampoline park one night, and I like seen her from across the room, and my first reaction was like, "Who is that?"
Okay.
And and then later on the night, I got like a little bit closer to her, and like it clicked. I was like, I know who she is, or I thought I knew who she was. And then later on that evening, I was on Instagram, and I was just going through my stories randomly, and I seen she posted a story from there, and all I said was, I thought that was you, and she said the same thing back, And then from there, I just had to kind of slide in and just continue the conversation. And here we are.
Beautiful. I love it.
Love
That's
that.
so
Yeah,
cool.
super
That's man.
That dude's smooth right there.
Smooth,
though, right? I like it.
smooth mover.
Yeah, I like that a lot. That's awesome.
Let's change it up on you here.
Wait, I got more questions though. Before you
Oh,
get to that,
okay.
One more thing. If you mentioned how old your daughter was, I don't think I heard it. So mention that again.
Don't think I did. No, she's 5. She's
Okay.
she's in kindergarten, and
Great age.
yeah, it's just it's truly incredible. Just to spend the time with her, and she gives me a sense of enjoyment and a sense of fulfillment that once again I never thought was possible from another human being.
Yeah,
And
kids are
it
it,
is,
right?
it's truly what I've missed all along. And I found like happiness in the past, whether it was with significant other, whether it was with music or all that. But I just still always felt like there was just some very small, minor piece of the puzzle that was missing. And whenever she was born, it's like it all made sense. Like my life like started to make sense. And I had purposes, in the past, but God made it just very clear to me exactly like what I was supposed to do, the moment I met her. And that's something that I'll forever be grateful for, to have now direction in my life, simply by just having, my daughter.
It can be a little overwhelming at times, though, right? Like we're struggling to figure out our own lives, and suddenly we're responsible for somebody else.
No, it is. I mean, it definitely can be. And listen, I mean, I come from, a background where, I didn't brush my teeth or shower for 10 days at a time when I was using. I wasn't capable of anything. I didn't know how to open a bank account. I didn't know how to go on a job application. Like I knew nothing. I had no idea how to live life whatsoever.
Right.
And then when I entered the rooms, I gradually started to learn how to do these things simply by listening to the, suggestions and advice from the predecessors that came before me.
Right.
So like I got somewhat of an understanding of how life is supposed to work, and then like it's like overnight you become a father, and now it's like this whole entire new list of things in life that I have no idea what to do.
Right.
And once again, I had to do the same exact thing, reach out to people that have been there before me, and a lot of days I just winged it. A lot of days I just use common sense. I use common knowledge, just logic. But it is, to not know how to deal with a situation for yourself is one thing, but now I have this little, 5-year-old that depends on me for everything. It's a big responsibility, but at the same time, it's not an obligation. It's a privilege. And, it's a privilege to be, my little girl's father. And, that is something that also one of the many things that I strive for on a daily basis to keep me clean. And I find strength wherever it is, and even if it's just I have to hold on to, my relationship with her for 1 second just to get me to the next step, that's exactly what I do.
Yeah, beautiful.
I love it, man. I love it.
I heard you just recently opened a treatment center. Is that true?
I did. I'm a part owner of a place called Pittsburgh Recovery Center. We're primarily just PHP and IOP, but we've been open roughly, I want to say 13 months now.
Okay.
And it's good. A lot of kinks that we've had to work out, a lot of growing pains, a lot of setbacks, a lot of everything. But I can say like that we are finally moving uphill, which is a good thing because it's been a lot of hard work. A lot of hard work that I put in and my associates, Leo and Hutch and everyone. And like I said, I think finally now, like everything's starting to level out, and it's way more, I don't want to say work, but it's way more behind the scenes type things that I ever could have imagined it was. My goal is to just go and just talk to people and just try to help them out. But then there's so much stuff that goes on behind the scenes, like I said, that I was completely ignorant to all. We were all completely ignorant to, and especially in Pennsylvania, where I'm from, it is, let's say, a little bit more difficult to follow through with the steps compared to other states. because each state is basically, has its own rules and regulations and stuff that you have to do. And we did it during COVID. So it was just like slow motion, all of that.
Trying to jump through
whether it was
hoops when nobody's working, it would be
whether it was
rough.
permits or it honestly was a nightmare. So like now it's like I said, like we're finally like praying, hopefully that we're just like in the clear and we can actually like move forward the way that we want to.
So for me and Sellers being a couple professional goofballs, I work as a counselor. Sellers works as a doctor and board certified in addiction medicine. We got some listeners out there in Pennsylvania. So listeners, if you're in Pennsylvania, open your web browser, check out pittrc.com, and take a look. Pittsburgh Recovery Centers. That's fantastic.
Absolutely. And even if we can't personally help you, we are connected with, basically any place that you could think of, in the state of Pennsylvania, which is amazing. You know what I mean? Finding the best fit for the struggling using addict is something also too that we strive to do. And so, we don't have a trouble, finding whatever is best for the individual that reaches out to us for help or whoever calls us, so that's a good thing too. Like just having a good team. Like I have a really good team, not only that that they're reliable, but also that I believe in what they do because I see their own recovery and, and how they handle themselves.
Very important. Very important to have some people in recovery helping other people get into recovery.
Also, that's good to hear from Chaz, because the mistakes I see with new treatment centers are thinking you're the best, which is cool. That's fine. I don't mind that. But thinking you're the best for every single client out there. And that can never be true, right?
That's a good point.
Certain centers are best for certain clients, but no center is best for every single client. So a treatment center that's willing to like take a look at themselves and say, well, we might not be the perfect fit for that client. That's going to be a really good treatment center.
Absolutely.
So I like your attitude.
I also want to touch briefly, because we want to move into your story and kind of find out what active addiction looked like for you, Chaz. But you also got a clothing line, man. I ordered me a t-shirt. I got it coming. I'm stoked to wear that sitting in circle with my guys at High Desert Counseling. So let's tell us a little bit about the clothing line. Sean Denneman's going to pull it up and show it on our cameras.
Big cartel. I probably need to re-up on a bunch of stuff. Like I said, my life can just get so busy. I can start a million things at one time and I get so sidetracked and I get so, and all that. And, it is, but I've been selling, my own merchandise, I don't know, for a few years now. And, some of it's just my song lyrics, some of it's just my name, but, it's just one of the many, many things that I have going on today.
What was that website again?
What'd you say? I'm sorry.
What was the website again?
Oh, Big Cartel.
Big Cartel.
/ Colicchie. Yeah.
Cool.
There you go. Dude's got it all going on.
This is a podcast about recovery from addiction. I think Chaz Smith, a.k.a. Colicchie, has a story about recovery from addiction. Let's find out what active addiction looked like for him.
Tell us how you started getting into drugs and alcohol.
Okay, yeah. I'm gonna give you like the shortest version possible, but I'm from Pittsburgh, and my mother, my father, and my sister, my entire immediate family, we all suffered from addiction and alcoholism. And my mother left my father whenever I was 1, because he just would not stop using, and like she realized that like she needed to get sober and she needed to do this. So we basically vacated his life and never looked back. And, to this day, I never met him. I have no idea where he lives or all that. And, from there, when I was 1, we left my father and we went and we lived with my grandparents. And, my mom ended up getting sober, and she was clean for, 16 years while I was growing up. So I wasn't brought up in like that turbulent household. Like I didn't grow up in violence. I didn't grow up with drugs and alcohol. My grandparents didn't drink. I was never really ever exposed to it. And, but even just as a young kid, I always felt shy, timid. I always felt like I was out of place. Even when I was around, even like my closest friends, I just still felt like I just did not fit in. Fast forward to when I was 14, I was playing, sports, ice hockey and baseball and all that. So like that was kind of like my first like outlet, but when I found drugs, roughly, I always say 14, but it might have been earlier. When I started smoking weed, that was kind of just like the escape, and the we talk about how like the progression like maybe rapid or slow. For me, it was just tremendously quick, and I started smoking weed, and by the time I was a senior in high school, I was strung out on heroin. I did every single drug, completely under the sun. I was not intoxicated or high in any way, shape, and form. My entire high school career, and right after high school, it just is when my addiction just became like full throttle. And I would just wake up sick every single day, and I would just have to go out and just commit small crimes, and my only job was to get money. I did this from the age of 18 to 23, and I would constantly be going into psych wards, detoxes, rehabs, small jail stints, and this was my life, and I didn't really want to say that I was okay with it, but I didn't know there was another way, and I knew there was another way, by going to treatment at such a young age, because, when I was 18 and 19, and I was completely broken. I was completely broken to the point where, I wanted to stop, and I wanted to stay stopped. But every single time I left some type of institution or I left jail, it was always, I'm done. I'm done. I can't do this anymore. I have to get my life together. And every time I was in them type of places and I said that, I truly, from the bottom of my heart, meant it. I meant it. I was done. But I would be released, or I'd go back home to the same using environment, the same room where I would have, blood stains on the walls from shooting with my syringe. And I would instantly start to get that obsession inside of me. And, looking back, like I didn't know exactly about the disease of addiction. I didn't really know what obsession and compulsion and denial and all these things that characterize, this vicious illness. I didn't know exactly what that type of stuff was. And, I would get this pit in my stomach, and I would always fear the unknown, and I would fear the change, and I would always just have to go self-sabotage and use. And I would always be back on the streets doing the same exact thing that I was doing before I went to treatment. And I did this for years, and I was just beyond reluctant to even give myself a chance, and it wasn't until like my sister, who was my running partner, it wasn't until she went to treatment and came home, and she came home to an environment where my mother was drinking and I was, shooting heroin. She came home to the same place, and she actually stayed clean, and she started to go to meetings, and at this time I wasn't exactly clean, but I would latch on to her, and I would go and I would listen to the readings, and I would pay attention. And slowly but surely I started to hear my story. I started to hear stories that were identical to mine, and if not just worse than mine. I thought in the back of my head that, like, if this room full of strangers could manage to change their life the way that they did, possibly I can too. My sister was that tangible evidence that she was just the complete, out of her mind, using addict. And now her life and her perception on the world and reality is completely different than maybe I can too. So that's exactly what I did. And I started to change my life, and then I went from having a year clean, relapsed, then I had 3.5 years clean, then I had 2.5 years clean, then I had a year clean, and now I have 7.5 years clean. And I look at it like this, through all of my failed endeavors at trying to get clean, even in the midst of my addiction, I still believed in the back of the mind that a 12-step fellowship could work for me. I knew in my heart that if I just gave myself just one more chance, and I could just fill my spirit with just a minuscule amount of hope and just a little bit of faith, that I could get back to where I was before. And I did that time and time again. And I'll just say this, before the clock runs out, but like now today, my life is completely different, because under any and all circumstances, no matter what, like I would not put alcohol or a chemical into my system. And I've been through so much in the last 7.5 years, to back on my story, but it is. Recovery is such a gift. Life is such a gift, and I would feel like it'd be completely disrespectful to throw it all away.
Man, Mic drop.
I like that. Yeah, that's a good way to walk off right there.
And
baby.
I love that he brought up even when it didn't make sense, right? He's using even when he doesn't want to. We are running out of time, but this has been fantastic. Make sure you join us for part 2. We're gonna be coming back right after a short little sponsorship mention from High Desert Counseling. Thank you, Chaz. Hang tight. We'll be right back with you, buddy.
Okay.
You are listening to We Do Recover with Jared Miller and co-hosted by Dr. Terry Sellers. We'll be right back after this short break with more of We Do Recover with Jared Miller. Brought to you by High Desert Counseling, Rise Up Supplements, and the Hilton Garden Inn.
High Desert Counseling is an adult outpatient substance abuse treatment facility. We offer multiple services including day treatment, morning and evening intensive outpatient services, continuing care, and Prime for Life. What makes us different is our emphasis on gathering all of the information before enrollment. We do this by offering a thorough evaluation by a credentialed professional. Once we have committed to you and you have committed to us, don't worry, insurance will not dictate your treatment. Lastly, the pretzel effect. We are a brief intervention where we connect our clients to community, mental health, and medical professionals to help maintain recovery for life after treatment. At High Desert Counseling, we strive to be the bridge from active addiction to recovery, community, and connection.
We welcome you back to We Do Recover with Jared Miller, co-hosted by Dr. Terry Sellers. Brought to you by High Desert Counseling, Rise Up Supplements, and the St. George Hilton Garden Inn. And now with part 2 of our podcast, Jared Miller and Dr. Terry Sellers.
Welcome back, everybody. Part 2, episode 109. We're here with Chaz Smith, a.k.a. Colicchie, who is a musician, artist, and all-around decent recovery
Good dude,
guy, right?
Yeah, good dude. I mean, listen to what he shared so far.
Yeah, this has been powerful stuff for sure. Well, let me start off with, first of all, part 2 is sponsored by the Hilton Garden Inn. Hilton Garden Inn, if you're traveling through southern Utah, look them up. Just type in Hilton Garden Inn and give them a shot at your business. First of all, it's a very clean hotel. They have wonderful amenities. Their hot tub is fantastic. We've spent some time out there in that hot tub before, and it's great, and the pool's great, and the weight room's great, and the rooms are clean. So give them a shot. Hilton Garden Inn in St. George, Utah, and they've been our sponsor since we opened this podcast, so we're grateful to them for sure.
And did you know that somehow magically it's always sunny and bright at the Hilton Garden Inn?
Always sunny and bright at the Hilton Garden Inn.
There's the tagline, baby. Boom.
I
Nailed
forgot.
it.
We haven't used that tagline in a few minutes. I forgot about that. Thanks. Hey, we're going to lead this off with, Chaz, we got 47,000 emails from females, and one guy texted us the question. So
Okay.
Anthony was nice enough to text this question. I'm going to read it to you. I got clean numerous times with my children in mind as a reason to get clean and stay clean, only when I realized that I first have to do it for myself before anyone else. That being said, my why is myself and giving back to my children and family and those around me the best way I know how, and I too refuse to be anonymous. What is your why? And how do you deal with day-to-day monotony? That's two completely different questions, but
No, yeah. I mean, I kind of liked what he said in the beginning, though, too. I have a line in drug addiction, too, where I talk about I love my daughter, but she won't keep me clean. What I meant by that was, I don't know. I can't have like that be my primary focus where, that's all I'm, trying to do to stay clean. My reasons, kind of how I said in the beginning, how I can grab onto anything for strength at that moment if it's going to give me just one more step. And they say you got to get clean for yourself, which is true. It absolutely is, but I think it's okay to to grasp on to other things as time goes on. My whys of why I do it, I mean, it's an infinite list that could go on forever. From not wanting to wake up dope sick to the fact that my friends trust me, today that I have responsibilities. Today I am, responsible for, another little human being. And honestly, I became so distant like from that life that I think about how insane it all was and how truly crazy it was to just slowly commit suicide on this death payment on a daily basis. And I don't know, today life is really about just enjoying it all clean and being able to feel all the emotions, whether or not they're good or whether or not they're bad, and to deal with the monotony. I mean, like, listen, like, I don't know where you're at right now, but like, it's winter in Pittsburgh. It's miserable. It's dark. It's depressing. I feel like all my days are just the same. Like, wake up, go to the gym, go to the center, at night, either hang out with my fiance, go to a meeting. But like, I always have something to look forward to. I always have like a new song I'm gonna write, or I have like a trip coming up, or something like that. It's okay. I mean, like, the monotony of like dealing with day to day life is okay, because I mean, my life was very monotonous while I was using to a degree. I mean, because at any given time, my day could get spiced up and I could get thrown in jail. But for the most part, all I did was just commit small crimes and get high. But it is, a lot of times I might have like moments of this pessimism and moments of this negative thinking where like I feel like this isn't all paying off, or like I feel like I should be further in life and all that. But that really is just my disease thinking. And as soon as that happens, I have to shut that stuff off instantly. And how do I do that? I normally pray about it. I'll normally reach out to someone on my support group and be like, this is what I'm thinking. I know it's not real, but like, I'm starting to believe the lies that I'm telling myself today. And it's just about getting out of myself in healthy ways, whether it's exercising or, whether it's, just whatever I choose to do at that moment. And I don't know, but the reasons of why I stay clean, can constantly change, but also in the same breath, there's just so many of them. And I use whatever I can.
Man, I love that. And that's a great, thorough way to answer Anthony's question.
Yeah, for sure.
One of the things that I've really enjoyed so far, Doc, is Chaz, like, I run these episodes kind of like I run a process group, right? When we're sitting in circle, typically in a process group, we introduce the problem. We talk about the problem for the first half, and then we get into the solution. He didn't spend a whole lot of time on the problem, right? Like, he wasn't glorifying and drug journaling, and like he touched on some stuff for relatability, but he quickly moved into the solution. Let's talk about the music. I'm excited to talk about the music.
Okay.
So,
me too, by the way.
Yeah.
Because I'm the furthest thing from creative as there is, right? And so I'm fascinated.
Your
by
outfits are
people.
creative.
Well, okay,
look what you got on, man.
All right, whatever. But the point is, I'm a very scientific guy, so I've never been super creative and I'm always fascinated by people that are. Now, it doesn't mean I didn't want to be creative. Like, I would, for sure, I would have loved to have been a rock and roll star. Now, I get that rock and roll is different. I'm 63 years old, so it's different than some of today's music, right? But I would have loved it. So I want to know, first of all, why music? How'd you get into music, first of all?
Can I give the rundown real fast?
Yeah, you can.
So let's give the history of the artist Colicchie.
Okay.
He has 3 albums.
Okay.
One of his albums.
That's 7 more than I have. Okay.
So let's start at the top, or at least my top. 19 Days Apart, released in 2017. The Last 11 Years, Part 1, released in 2017. The Last 11 Years, Part 2, released in 2017. And then he has a bunch of singles. He's got 17 different singles.
That's a lot of singles.
A lot of singles. So we have Drug Addict, probably one of my...
Drug addiction.
Sorry.
And I was going to say real quick, too, is I have a lot more than that, too. I just don't have it on streaming services. But yes, I've been doing this for about 15 years. And actually, if you were to count them, I would have 9 albums.
Wow.
This was according to YouTube Music.
Okay.
Yes.
This is where I got my research. YouTube Music.
Yes.
So let's go
my
over-
Okay,
first-
so
Let's
before
go
you
over the
go on, I
singles.
have a question just for
Okay.
me. First of all, how old are you? If you want to say, you don't have to, but
I will be 40 years old in approximately, I don't even know, 25 days.
okay. And you said you been doing this for? Did you just say 19 years?
15.
15 years.
Yeah, about 15 years.
Started when you were in your early to mid 20s.
20s. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
That's awesome. So thank you for correcting me, Doc. Drug Addiction.
Drug Addiction.
One of my favorites,
I've
released
actually-
in 2017.
Believe it or not, I've heard that song.
It's a powerful song.
I'm not much of a hip hop guy, let's be honest. I'm an old fashioned rock and roll guy, but I love that song.
Let's
That
hit
was
these
awesome.
every other one. Let's knock them out.
Okay, My Whole World. 2017.
Drug of Choice, also released in 2017.
Loving Me, Losing You, 2017.
Never Give Up, 2017.
Promise to Leave, 2017.
Listen to Your Heart, 2018.
Let Me Rap, 2018.
Now this one, Daughter, 2019.
Oh, that one. You put that one off to the side. I almost missed it. Reoccurring Pessimism, 2020.
Survivor, 2020.
Lord, If You Hear Me, 2021.
Suffer, 2021.
Find a Way, 2021.
Suicide Prevention, 2022.
Interesting song title. Strangers at My Funeral, 2022.
Blank Page, 2022.
Well, those are some interesting, cool titles, right?
I think Colicchie might have gone through some stuff.
Right.
Right. I love that a lot of it's about mental health, a lot of it's about recovery. I want to hear about the inspiration behind some of these.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, Colicchie, round robin, you pick one, man. What do you feel like you were super inspired for?
Do you have a favorite song of yours?
I get that question asked all the time, and if I truly had to pick, I always say "To Whom It May Concern" Part 3, and I don't know what it is about that song. I just absolutely love it. It's just a very detailed story about my last relapse and then the first year of me getting clean.
Which album is that in?
I think that's actually on an album, and I want to say it's on 19 Days Apart.
Okay. Yeah. Because we just went over your singles. I'm like, wait a minute, I missed that one. It's because it's on your album, 19 Days Apart.
Yeah. I would probably say that, but I don't know. I have so many. I have a lot where so I don't really listen to my music often. But sometimes if I have long drives or something, I'll put something on or whatever. And it's crazy whenever I listen to something that's 4, 5, 6, 7 years old. And I'll even sometimes get chills, because I remember where I was writing it. I can remember recording it. I can remember what was going on in my life. I can remember the feelings that I was feeling and all of that. And then a lot of times too, I look back and I really will smile. And I think about how much different my life is now compared to whenever I wrote that particular song or that particular line or all of that. And it's almost, it's like a detailed, diary of my life whenever I, really go back to all the songs that I released. That's just something I always try to do whenever I first started making music. Whenever I first got clean, I started, whenever I entered the rooms, they just started pounding honesty into our heads. You got to be honest. You're not going to stay clean if you're not honest. Da, 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 da. So what I did was I incorporated, that into my music back in 2007. It was just, let me be as honest as possible. I don't care if it's embarrassing. I don't care if people are going to judge me. Let me just tell my story. And that's always what I did. I just tried to tell my story, the part that I played, the way that I felt, my mistakes, my triumphs, and, my joy, my pain, my elation, everything. So when I really do look back on a lot of my songs, they are about a certain area of my life. And like I said, it's almost like a documented audio of, that exact small interval piece of my existence.
That's fantastic. Listen, I think that's super cool, especially like just that you're being authentic, right? Like you were living what you were writing, you were living what you were rapping, real time, real moment. Now you said 2007 though. You first release looks like some of your first release stuff was 2017. Did it take a minute to get the wheel turning? Like obviously, right?
Yeah,
Because if you're writing in 2007,
yeah. So, like I said, well, I don't even remember the name. The name. So I had Hope Exist. Then I had Motivated by Desire, Dedicated Till Death, Hope Still Exists, The Diary of Chaz Smith. So yeah, these are albums with like 20 songs on them each. So yeah, I made music for roughly a decade before I dropped Drug Addiction. And I made, like I said, countless amounts of songs where I had, quote unquote fans and people that listened to my stuff, but it was my messages and all, it was very far and few and in between. And Drug Addiction, whenever I released that is when I actually started to get, a little bit of exposure. And through all of that, it really was just about consistency, and I didn't look at anything else other than what I'm doing right now is helping me, and what I'm doing right now is sometimes here and there helping somebody else. And so that's just what I did. Like I said, I told my story. So you have to understand too that like even back in 2007 and 2008 when I'm releasing songs like Paradise and Feel It in My Gut, all that, like artists weren't talking about using drugs. Artists were talking about selling drugs. So like coming out of the gate, I like was in my own lane and making myself tremendously vulnerable. Like this is just stuff that people weren't really talking about at that time. But like I said, I didn't care because it was freeing for myself. I almost thought if I told you every single secret about my life, like everything, then no one would ever have any type of ammunition against me. Everything that I've been through and all the mistakes and all the bad things that I did is all out there on the internet for you to judge or come at me or whatever. But it's like, I know my side of the street's clean. And that's seriously like how I looked at it in my earlier days of writing. But I'm grateful that I did because, like I said, for one, it was good because in a way it was almost like step work for myself, but also so many people that could relate and identify with the feelings and actions that I went through.
I think it's interesting too that, and I know Doc's got something. I can tell you got something you were going to say. I think it's interesting
I got a
too.
question, but it can wait.
At the time you started your earliest stuff, 2007, you said 2008. Like you said, most people were glorifying selling drugs. Most people were glorifying drug use, and
that's kind of a hip hop theme, right?
well, yeah, especially back then, if you think about it, like
sure.
before, really, we had these huge pandemics, epidemics, whatever you want to call it. Like that is what that was a big part of it. And then Colicchie comes out and he's swimming upstream, right? He's like, check it out. Here's what it really looks like. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Here, there's nothing glorified about it. So
I'm not selling them. You're selling them to me.
yeah,
Right.
I'm also interested.
Wait, I
Go
got
ahead,
a quick
yeah.
question. Who's your musical influences?
And that again also changed all over the years. But like, I mean, you said you listen to rock, so I mean, I went through every single genre. But like when I was like young, it was like, I mean, anywhere from like Led Zeppelin to the Doors, and then I even moved on to like Green Day, and then I moved on to like Nirvana, Pearl Jam, Soundgarden, and like all of that. I mean, that all just even played a part of me just falling in love with music, but because even when I quote unquote found rap, I don't even know if I was like even a huge fan of it, but since then, even in the beginning, I mean, I'll just name a couple like people like Nas and like a New York artist named AZ, over the years, anywhere from Joe Budden to Eminem to NF. I mean, honestly, I can get inspiration from any artist. I mean, it could just be one song that they have that could just completely alter my mood, make me see something in a different light, you know what I mean? And just guide me in a different direction. So, I mean, that's what's so cool about music and how it's this universal language that we can that I can, just use it to really relate or identify or twist or put my own spin on or have my own interpretation of it. It may alter my perception on something that I might have been closed-minded on. I mean, it really is just such a beautiful, powerful thing.
Some of my favorite stuff is when two amazing artists like Chaz Smith, aka Colicchie, and Joe Nestor get together and put out some fire. I got to express some gratitude. Joe Nestor, thank you so much for making this connection. Really, like, if I'm telling the truth, Chaz wouldn't be on today if my boy Joe didn't, put in a good word for me. Like, this guy's all right. You know what I mean? You can answer his phone calls. So, Joe Nestor, love you, bro. I appreciate it. Hope you and Faith are doing great. But yeah, and you've collaborated with a couple. I want to say Mac Miller, right? Joe Nestor.
Yeah.
Like, there's some people out there that's got to be fun too, right? That's got to be a whole different type of fellowship and brotherhood. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, it is. For someone that has been doing music as long as I have, I definitely should have worked with a lot more individuals, but I don't know. It's just something that I don't want to say I've always preferred to do it alone. Like, as far as like thinking of the concept, how I want to approach the beat, what kind of beat I want, do I want to make this verse, short, or do I want to make it, 8 minutes long or whatever. So, and it was also too about what I was talking about too. Like, and I'm talking about years ago, I felt like my options might have been like limited to who I was going to work with. But like I said, I always like to work alone. I think the first 100 songs that I've ever recorded, it was just always just me and my engineer in the room. Like, I wasn't the type of person to bring like tons of people to the studio. Like, and I never even been the type of person to like scream like, hey, I rap, I did music for not a long time, but probably a year and a half before I let really anybody know what I was doing. And it's not really because I was ashamed. I just felt like, I don't know, it was just really personal to me.
It's
I don't know.
therapeutic, man. Therapeutic.
I just can't really put it into words.
Yeah, it sounds like it was super therapeutic. Like you said, almost your way of doing steps or some type of processing and therapy.
Guy's written 100 songs.
Yeah, that's incredible.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I don't know. Like 150 off the top of my head.
Wow.
I'm not sure. Probably about 150.
Yeah, that's amazing, man. That's amazing.
Cool.
Do you want to give us a little teaser?
Listen, and I could always be working harder. So that's exactly like, and I'm like excited. Like, that's what I'm doing now. I'm working on like a full length album, probably like 9 songs. I just went out to Connecticut 3 days ago to my friend Casey Makes Music's studio to do 3 of the songs. And like I said, I haven't put like an actual album out since 19 days apart. So that's my goal. Hopefully by late spring, I have it out, and I just have to work hard.
Casey Makes Music. That dude's in recovery from alcohol as well, right? I saw he said he had like 8 years or something.
I mean, he's literally the definition of underrated. I'm serious. Like, he does stuff that completely just blows my mind out of the water, to the point where I'm just like, I don't understand how someone's that good. But he's just incredible. He's an incredible engineer. He's an incredible singer. And it's just, it really is a privilege to be in his life and to know him.
We got about 3 minutes left. There's a couple things I want to get to.
Yep.
All right. Do you have a teaser for us? Can you give us a little bit of what you're working on right now?
Yeah, I mean, really just my new album. It's going to be called All of Me. And like I said, late spring, I want to have like every song done, and I want to have like, merchandise to go along with it. I want to get the CDs pressed up, and I want to, just have everything in place before I actually release it, which is something that I know that I can do. And I'm looking forward to it. I've written more than normal, in the last month and a half. And it's been like, along with the center, it really has been like my primary focus.
I love it. I love it.
Any chance you're coming to Utah anytime soon?
What? Colicchie.
When can we get you to Utah?
We'll see. I've been to numerous states, but I've never been to Utah.
Well, we need to get you to Utah.
We got to talk, my friend, because there's two organizations that would love to have you. The SJS Scholarship, they're a nonprofit. They raise money for people to go to Valley Camp, which is like they don't accept insurance. It's all private pay, and people that are in real need. And then the Sobriety Foundation, which is a big love of this podcast. They help people get into sober living homes. So we're definitely going to have to talk, make some arrangements. I'm thinking maybe in a few months, potentially, May, June. Right? You know about what I got in the works. We're working on it.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's been amazing. Like, I went from like never traveling, being stuck on the couch dope sick, to being able to see the entire North America simply just because of my music and from staying clean. That has been a miracle in and of itself.
It's amazing.
What a cool podcast.
Man, I'm so grateful.
Chaz Smith, Colicchie,
It's been so fun.
Thanks for coming on. We're winding down. We got about 45 seconds left, but any last things you want to say to the people that are listening?
Like maybe when the big day is?
Oh, you're getting married.
Oh, no, so no date as far as thinking like 2 years from now, probably somewhere along there.
Any last message of hope?
Yeah, just, whoever's listening, if you're struggling, regardless of whatever it is, whether it's a toxic relationship or you're stuck in active addiction or you're stuck at a dead end job, I promise you that there is hope. As lame as that sound, it really is true, but it's on you to make the decision to want to change and do whatever you have to do in order to have the decision to make.
Beautifully said. Beautifully said. Thank you, guys. This has been episode 109. It is going to go down as legendary.
Thank you for joining us today on We Do Recover with Jared Miller.
Help us spread our message of hope. Like, comment, and share.
If you have any topics or ideas for future shows, please share that on our Facebook page.
That Facebook page is We Do Recover with Jared Miller. If you or a loved one needs help, please reach out to us. Again, thank you for listening. Brought to you by High Desert Counseling, Rise Up Supplements, and the St. George Hilton Garden Inn. The views and opinions expressed on this podcast do not reflect those of its sponsors. This has been a production from A Podcast Studio.